저희는 심야 업무를
결국 우리가 나서서 처리해야겠구려.
Hi, it's me, playing more Limbus Company on today, September 20th. It has been a long time. Today, we have a new banner to look at, and by new banner, I mean it's just one ID again. It's another South Section 4 banner with only a 3-star in it. Except it's an association we literally didn't even know the name of until this banner got announced. It's the Dieci, I don't know how to pronounce it, sorry, I'm butchering that. South Section 4 Rhodian banner. I am not really interested in pulling for it, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to dispense it. But, since it's been 2 weeks since the check-in event has started, we're also going to look at Molar Yi Sang today, because I have him now. And also, I've learned that the check-in event IDs are going to be added to the pull rotation as soon as the event's over, which is neat. I like that you can get them for free, but they were just going to be added at some point if you want to pay for them later. That's a nifty touch. So anyways, let's dispense this dang identity, shall we? Oh yeah, I have some shards.
이거 먹어. 티는 내지 마. 그리고 그냥 씹어. 감사는 됐어.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rhodia, but she's a nun. So yeah, we've got 2 new identities to look at. Don't pay attention to that. Actually, pay attention to this. Who cares? We're gonna look at Yisong first, because he's technically older.
무거운 신뢰를 받게 되었구려. 기대에 보답하게 노력하겠어.
You intend to leave the office again? Again? I don't appreciate your tone. This business outing is strictly for professional purposes only. Do you understand? How could I, pray tell, word it in any other way when every instance of your business outing has led to copious insobriety? That is but the nature of this business. A generous amount of alcohol has always resulted in smoother negotiations with our contractors. I see. Try not to slumber over long this time, then. You do not know the amount of work I put into this office. Though the child clearly heard her grumble, he elected to ignore it. Arguing with her would only lead to pointless squabbles that always end up as wastes of time. Besides, what point could there be in arguing with your boss? Ahem. Just be aware that I will be heading out for a bit today. Yisong, the contract I snagged yesterday is coming up soon. Make sure that we don't leave any work behind before leaving the office for that job. Most certainly. Thud. As soon as his boss left the office, the child immediately returned to his seat and began organizing the documents. Unlike his boss, whose every sentence exuded lackadaisicalness, this child was well known in the industry for his complete and utter focus on the work at hand. Everyone knew that the child was diligent and dedicated to the work given to him, but they didn't know about the complex musings he'd let linger on in his head. The child recalled all the times he'd spent working, struggling ever since he joined this office. Starting from contracts that some would consider nothing more than errands, to slowly building up his reputation. The anxiety of missing the contract deadline, all the times his life was at risk due to underestimating the enemy's numerical advantages. After all that toil, the office finally seized a remarkable opportunity like a contract from R-Corp, a wing. People were finally starting to recognize them. He was rather proud to be a member of one such office, but on the other hand, worrisome thoughts plagued the child. Is she going to be okay? Of course, she's no slouch when it comes to fighting and has no trouble picking up work for the office. But could his boss really take on a job of such gravity when he himself wasn't entirely sure about his own capabilities? Some fresh air will do me good. The child looked away from work for a moment, got up and opened the windows. Sighing, he hoped that the pitter-patter of the rain could wash away the heavy doubts cast upon his heart. But there was something ominous about this contract that rubbed him the wrong way. So if I'm not mistaken, that's talking about the contract to go to the library and investigate it from, Yeah, it has to be, because that's the only contract that Molar Office gets in Runa. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to go over the entire ID before I look at the other one this time. Mostly just because they're from separate things. So first off, 148 HP, middling. Actually, it's a little low, honestly. 4 to 7 speed is good. 28 defense level doesn't matter. Fatal to Pierce, which is not something you see a lot these days, I feel like. I'm going to start on the passives this time. In times like these, upon burst tremor on an enemy, should say bursting, but that's okay, inflict 1 defense level down per 4 stagger threshold raised. Basically, this will increase your damage dealt to that enemy for the rest of the turn by 1 for every 4 stagger threshold. That's what it averages out to anyways. It's not perfect rounding, but that passive is, like, a little underwhelming for Tremor, because Tremor still sucks. Let's not pretend that it doesn't. Cleaning up the mess. When one ally with the lowest max HP bursts Tremor on an enemy, inflict 1 defense level down per 4 stagger threshold raised. That is basically useless, because you can never really guarantee the ally with the least max HP is the one bursting Tremor. So, first off, I like that the Sin combination is one that Yi Sang doesn't already have. I think this is his first ID with a Lust skill, which is really cool to see. Yep, that's all I have to say about that. Stay Calm is a 3 to 11 skill 1 Pierce, -2 attack level. If this skill is discarded, gain 4 Tremor count. On use, gain 2 Tremor count, and on hit, inflict 2 Tremor count with the second coin. That's a lot of effect for a first skill. Discard is a new mechanic that was introduced with this set of IDs, and then the next ID we got is also Discard. We'll be seeing that in a minute. I don't know how good it is yet. I'll just be honest with you. I'll have to play with it to see how it feels, but skill 2 is a 4 to 16, Gamble 32, so a +2 offense level. It's blunt. If this skill is discarded, gain +4 Tremor count, and on use, discard the skill of lowest rank in all of this unit's skill slots. The way discard works, it makes me feel like the big draw to discard is that you cycle through all of your garbage skills and get to use your more powerful skills a lot more often. If that's the case, then these are really fast IDs that are really reliable. If that's not the case, then they're just okay. On hit, inflict 2 Tremor count, and on hit at 5+ Tremor count, burst Tremor and reduce target's Tremor count by 2. You don't really want to burst the Tremor, I feel like, because he himself is not inflicting any potency so far, it looks like, which is a little underwhelming, but... Skill 3, Grinding the Molars. That is a 4 to 13 skill 3, which... 2 stars tend to have this as a third skill with 3 coins. It's not great, but this one is +5 offense level, so that's really good. On use, discard the skill of lowest rank in all of this unit's skill slots. On use, spend 10 Tremor count to gain coin power +1, so it becomes a 4 to 16, which isn't bad. On hit, inflict 4 Tremor. On hit, if the skill spent Tremor count, burst Tremor. And then coin 3 has heads hit, inflict 2 defense level down. On hit, if the skill spent Tremor count, burst Tremor. What's cool about this is that it's bursting Tremor without reducing Tremor count. So, he's actually, like, good in Tremor as a result. You don't get to see... Like, this is the first ID that has a burst Tremor that doesn't consume Tremor count in a long time, which makes it automatically pretty decent for Tremor. This skill is probably going to be way more useful as discard rather than the fact that it does things with Tremor. It's also another pseudo charge, which Tremor count as charge is just worse than charge count, but that's okay.
뭐더라? 지식이 곧 나의 열쇠이니 문을 열기 위해 정진하겠습니다.
Food for thought. This book's got a real nice title, don't it? Think about it. A meal for your heart. That better be one hearty meal, don't you think? That's what they say here, anyway. So that's why you're having a whole meal in the library? Yep. Wait, no. Come on, you gotta be exact within your wording or suffer confusion and misunderstandings. I'm having a snack. Right. Look, this is a library. This is where you find various foods for thoughts, right? In other words, this place is full of foods, which is to say that this place is, in essence, pretty much one huge dinner, or diner. In conclusion, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a little snack in here. Yeah, okay. I think we can end the interview right here. Unlike your foods for thoughts, this interview is severely lacking in substance. I'll let the Madam Librarian know that I had a rather fruitful interview with you about the Dieci Association and its vast mega diner with dishes from all over the city. How's that? Oh, come on. My bad, my bad. I'll get serious. Just don't tell her any of that, okay? Okay, so you want to know what the essence of the Dieci Association is? Yes, well, I do know that it specializes in accumulation of knowledge, but I do want to know what this association means to you, Miss Rhodian. What this association means to me. This place is like home. I'm sure you already know that the Dieci Association picks up and raises kids without parents or guardians, right? I am aware, yes. To the public, your association is known as the Association of Charity. Well, that's how I ended up here. Boy, that really was a long time ago. Before that, I'd live off dirty, stale bread from the streets, sleep under sheets made of clothes stripped off the back of my dead friend's body. Yeah, I guess I had times like that. Ahem. Oh, too dark for you? Well, anyways, they picked me up and gave me a proper life. It is kinda annoying, though, that as a member of this association, I gotta study so dang hard. Well, you've made it to Section 4. That means you've been working hard, right? I doubt all you've been doing here was feeding yourself with foods for the gut. I don't know. I don't think I studied that hard. I must be a natural genius. I gotta say, though, studying isn't completely joyless. Because the more I know, the stronger I get. I've heard of that. Your strength is proportional to the amount of knowledge you've amassed. The undying truth of the universe itself has my back. Of course, I'd have no trouble beating the crap out of those knuckleheads. Some bird-brained idiots underestimate Dieci fixers, you know? When they hear us coming, they think they're about to fight some nerds. So they look down on your association. Doesn't that get irritating? Not at all. Actually, it spices things up. Every time they dare look down upon us, my stoles glow with power, and my fists smite their ruin upon the curbside. They're just perfect opportunities to show how wide the gap of knowledge is between us and those ignoramuses who don't know the true power of the Dieci Association. Don't you think? Okay, so knowing things literally makes them stronger. That's interesting. And they're the Association of Charity, which is not something I would have expected. So, this Rhodia has a bunch of coins. That's the big thing to note. 181 HP. Yes, this is a tank. 4 to 6 speed, which is, like, okay. It averages out to be the same as 3 to 7, which is the average. And 35 defense level. This is a very tanky identity, and I'm hoping, praying, they're the Catholic Church, that it's at least decent at dealing damage, because otherwise this ID is not going to be good, and you'll see why. So passives first. That is a lot of text. Incandescent Enlightenment, 3 Gloom owned. Gain blunt damage up next turn based on the damage this unit took this turn. Shield damage is included in the calculation. Normally it's not for damage effects. Maxes out when taking damage equal to 25% of max HP at turn start. Max blunt damage up gained by this effect is 5. So, if you take damage equal to a quarter of your maximum health, but some of that damage can be shield, you gain 50% increased blunt damage next turn. Which is a lot, but also, why would... Taking the damage to activate the effect isn't great. If this unit has 3 insight at the end of the turn, remove 1 negative status effect applied to the self. Insight is a new status effect. It doesn't actually do anything. It's kind of like charge in that regard, but its value is dependent on the rank of the skill you discarded last. So usually it will be 1 or 2. If you get it to 3, that seems like a challenge, but it is a discard effect. Missionary of Knowledge is the support passive. Owned 5 Gloom. One ally with the highest max HP gains... Yeah, so it's just the same thing except 15% maxed out 3. I can't see these being that useful because taking damage isn't something you'd want. Anyways, skill 1, Gloom, 3 to 9 with 3 coins. That's pretty normal for a 3-star with 3 coins on skill 1 now. It's the only skill range we've seen with that amount of coins. Gain Insight times 4% of max HP shield if this skill is discarded. So the most you can ever gain from this in terms of shield is 12%. It's -1 offense level. On use of Insight is 2 or higher, gain coin power by Insight -1. So, this can potentially be a 3+4 with 3 coins. So what that means is that this skill is potentially a 3 to 15 on skill 1. One thing somebody pointed out to me is that this ID feels like an ID that you would want to use your skill 1 a lot. That being said, getting an insight of 3 seems really inconsistent, so most likely it's going to be a 3+3, which is 3 to 12, which is still a really good skill 1, honestly. It's still not really competing with Mind Strike, but nothing really is. And third coin has on hit, lower user's stagger threshold by 8, which doesn't matter. Skill 2, Weight of Knowledge. That is a 3 to 15? Right? Because 6, 9, 12, 15. Yeah, it's a 3 to 15. That's a really good skill, too. It is 4 coins, which is a little inconsistent. +1 attack level. Gain Insight times 8% of max HP shield if this skill is discarded. So up to like a quarter of your HP being shield if you discard this with max Insight. On use, discard the skill with the lowest rank in all of this unit's skill slots, so just discard 1. On use, this slot gains 3 aggro next turn. Fourth coin has on hit, inflict 3 sinking. Yeah, this is a sinking ID. It does not have enough support to be a sinking ID, I don't think. That is very little, and it's going to be eating a lot of sinking because it has a ton of coins. Skill 3. 4 coins again, 4 plus 3 this time, so it's a 4 to 16. Which isn't bad. +2 attack level. Gain Insight times 15% of max HP shield if the skill is discarded. This can give you almost half of your HP bar of shield. Okay. Oh, you know what? I never looked at Yisong's defense skill. 1 second. Because I have to check that. 10 plus 2! It discards 1, but wow. One thing to note, you can't discard defense skills is an important thing. Anyways, discard 2 skills of the lowest ranks in all of this unit's skill slots. I don't think this is actually possible to do with the way the game is coded, because you can't discard a skill that you're about to use. So, like, I don't know, man. It's weird. Gains 3 aggro, okay. Coin 1 has heads hit, inflict 4 sinking count. So that's actually 1 sinking count positive by the end of the skill. And coin 4 has on hit, inflict 2 sinking count. So this is actually net positive for sinking count, which is cool. That being said, is it worth it? I have no idea. The problem is, again, with how many coins she is annihilating that sinking count. The big thing to note is this ID does fuel Rhyme Shank perfectly, because of course it does. To be fair, though, the other Rhodia ID that fuels Rhyme Shank isn't sinking, it's Tremor. And those are like the 2 things Rhyme Shank does. It inflicts sinking and it bursts Tremor. So you're picking between which effect you want to lean into. So I guess it's not that big of a deal that they overlap a little bit there. This is also the first... Well, I want to call this ID decent. I'll wait until I actually test it. The first decent Rhodia with a sloth skill, not that she needs it for anything. Defense, Fixated Study. On use, discard the skill of the highest rank in all of this unit's skill slots, and the slot gains 2 aggro next turn. 12 to 17 block is okay. Like, it's a block you can use, and it's +5 defense level. The big thing is, this specifically targets the highest skill, and it's the way you're meant to discard a skill 3 in order to max out the effectiveness of skill 1, and also the insight gain of discards. Whether or not that will be worth it is yet to be seen. These rolls are good enough without boosts to, like, be okay. Honestly, this Rhodia doesn't seem bad. I want to say I don't think it's as reliable as Rosespanner, but, like, Rosespanner's rolls aren't that good in a clash. This ID is almost the same. It's a better skill 2, and the skill 3 is only slightly worse. The skill 1 is worse, let's be honest. If you're at Insight 1, then the skill 1 is worse than Workup, or whatever the skill is called. Anyways, let me build, I guess, a Tremor team, and let's go test them out. Yeah, we're going back to testing out our teams in Luxcavation, because apparently the story missions are really inconsistent. So, you can see we have some insight. You can see I only have skill 1s, so I'm actually going to use the defense skill. I wasn't expecting to have to do that already. Okay, this is a bad starting hand, but at least I get to use Grinding the Molars. We are going to learn today if discard has any value. Basically. I'm guessing it will, because, yeah. Oh, I just realized discarding that did nothing for me, because I didn't have a skill 3. I'm gonna try to play it the way that it seems to be intended to be. Like, that was only 2 damage. Not even because I had shield. Like, there we go. Now I have a skill 3 and discarding actually matters. So, let's see if my theory is correct in that case. I'm going to discard this. I know it's all struggling because Inquisition is a bitch to clash against. We're gonna see what our insight is at the end of this turn and see if just spamming skill 1 is worth it. It is the only skill that doesn't do anything with sinking. Yo, thanks for the stats. I didn't even take any damage from that. That's sick. Oh yeah, I love the animations for this ID, by the way. Okay, she is at Insight 1 because I had a different skill behind it. This is going to be the problem with this one, I think. Discarding that is going to be inconsistent at best because of how discard actually works. I don't think the ID itself is bad. It might be a little hard to get sanity with because sanity is annoying to gain. Stab. Yeah, beat the shit out of that guy. I love the animation so much because she's just a battle priest, and that is hilarious. Okay, now my skill 1's a +1. I'm going to do that and use another skill 1 because I think that will give me Insight 3 if I do it like that, and so I want to. I have 11 Tremor count in Yisong. He is about to get a boost. Yeah, this ID's reliability basically comes down to how easy is it to get Insight 3. And in fights where she only has 1 skill slot, it's actually going to be way easier. Because you can only discard 1 skill, right? Sinclair has 7 Tremor. I don't even know, like, that's just gamble, right? But yeah, do no damage to me, thank you. That paralysis is annoying. Okay, now I am at Insight 3. This sucks though because I have to discard. Oh no, I can discard a skill 3. That's fine. The question is this what you would want to do? Really? Hopeless? It's because I have paralysis. Like, I don't think I can win this clash regardless, but I should use this. Actually, no, I should use the skill 3 because I want to see the animation at least once. So I am going to break my own rule here. Like, I did try. Yeah, I'm going to guarantee... 12?! Alright, it's 3 coins. Yo, sick. She just lifts him into the air and beats him up. Yeah, so far she seems incredibly reliable. What I can do this turn. Also, I haven't been mentioning it, but Yisang's cycling is really good. Since he only really needs to use his skill 2 and 3, you can just ignore the skill 1s unless it's your only option. That's really cool. I seem to be liking discard so far. I'm just gonna punch these guys. He's got +1 and military mindset. Awesome. So, like, I know it's not an optimal team build because technically I would want to do that with syncing. She seems... Whoa! Really reliable, actually. Because the way that this works is skill 2 and 3, they don't roll super high, but they still break 14 with no power boost. And that is one of the big things. Rolling a 15 and a 16 with 4 coins on both, that's a lot of damage, and it's at least okay at winning clashes. Which is like the big thing, right? The idea that you want to pitch your skill 3 to make your skill 1s funny is cool. I like what they're going for. It might actually just be better to keep using your skills 2 and 3, though. Because pitching a skill 3, it's still going to be your best clasher, even after that. But technically, skill 1 will be more consistent than skill 2 at 3 insight. It's cool. I like it a lot, actually. I'd say it competes with Rosespanner in its current position. It's Rosespanner at uptie 3, by the way. I know I was using Rosespanner at uptie 4 for the railway. Alright, let's look at them at uptie 4, starting with Yisang. So, Yisang's skill 1, at 5+ tremor count, gain coin power +1, so it becomes a 3 to 13. This is basically always going to be active, from what I just saw. After 2 turns, you're guaranteed to have enough tremor count for that. Skill 2 inflicts 1 more tremor count, which means nothing to me. Skill 3 makes its coin power another plus, so instead of a 4 to 16, it's a 4 to 19, which is really strong. And heads hit turns to on hit, which is always nice. Guard becomes Sloth and gains 3 coin power. Not that you will ever use the guard on this character. Actually, you might. No, you won't. He's too frail for that. If you're using him a lot, definitely uptie this, because just the coin power on skill 1 makes it really consistent, and having more coin power on skill 3 is always nice. The tremor part of this kit, the inflicting the tremor count, is also really nice, because we don't have a lot of stuff that does that still. So that's cool. I would say, if you really like him, uptie him. He's definitely the best 2-star Yisang we have. That's not even a competition. Rhodia, though, is the one I'm curious about. More shield, more stagger threshold. Disappointed. Honestly, like, that skill is not gaining much. Weight of Knowledge is 10% instead of 8%, gains 2 more aggro, and on use if target has 5+ sinking, gain clash power +2. Clash power +2 means that in a clash, it's a 5 to 17 instead of a 3 to 15. 5+ sinking is not 5+ sinking count, which is important. Rhymeshank just activates this, and a 5 to 17 is a really consistent clasher, even with 4 coins. It also inflicts 2 more sinking, which is still only on the last coin. This seems, like, really strong. And, important thing to note, a lot of effects that go by the amount of a status effect on the enemy change mid-skill. This one is on use, meaning that even if you delete all the targets sinking in the clash somehow, I don't know how you would manage to do that, but you'd still gain the effect of it as long as it's still the same attack, which is really nice. And the third skill does the same. Was there any coin? No, there wasn't any coin power. 20%. This could give you more than half of your HP and shield if you discard it. That's funny. It doesn't really increase your game state at all. On use, if target has 7+ sinking, gain coin power +1. That's more significant because it's actually activating coin power instead of clash power. +1 coin power on this skill changes it from a 4 to 16 to a 4 to 20. This is the best clashing Rhodia, isn't it? I mean, you'd have to use her with Boat Ishmael and Efflorest Ego Yi Sang, because those are really the only other 2 IDs that inflict sinking. You could use her with G-Corp Otis, because at Uptie 4, G-Corp Otis can inflict 9 sinking with her skill 3, which is enough to activate this stuff. It doesn't... I really would have liked this to be an on-hit effect, but that's fine. It's net positive sinking. We don't get that very often. There's 3 characters. There are 4 IDs that have net positive sinking count infliction. They are Reindeer Ishmael, Molar Ishmael, Efflorest Ego Yi Sang, and now this ID. I can't remember if Sunshower Heathcliff was. Fixated Study gives more aggro and has better power and becomes Gloom. Okay. One person in particular is going to have a problem with me saying this, but the fact that this is Gloom is so important. I completely brushed over it when I looked at the default thing. The fact that this is Gloom, and the fact that she doesn't need Sloth for anything, let's be honest, makes it so that using this is an actual option. Also, if you use it, you're going to have... let me do some quick maths. What's 60% of 180? Calculator? It's also an irregular HP value, by the way, because at level 30, you're supposed to have 180 exactly, and she is 181. Let's see, 181 times 0.6 plus 20 is 129 shield if you pitch at skill 3. Technically, you wouldn't be gaining that much because your insight wouldn't be at 3 when it gets discarded, only afterwards. Actually, I don't know what takes priority, whether it's the insight increasing or the actual discard effect of the skill. But, like, that's very consistent. I don't want to speak too soon because Rosespanner is obviously really good at dealing damage, but we might have a new best Rhodia? It's definitely in the running. The fact that they both fuel Rhyme Shank is really important. And the fact that they both fuel it on separate halves is super important, exactly for my opinion of this game's balance. Because they're not... Technically, you're using it for the same thing, because it's more effective for the sinking count, but... with one ID focusing on the sinking half and one ID focusing on the tremor half, you can... It's like 2 IDs that fuel the same ego, but they want to fuel it for a different purpose in theory, and I like that there's that distinction, because... I don't know, it feels like every ID is just meant to be used with an ego, and they actually did it in a way that it makes sense for once. Obviously, in terms of, like, Railway, you're still gonna want Rosespanner. And the reason you're still gonna want Rosespanner is specifically because, A, she's Charge, and Charge Boost is crazy, and B, Pride. What is cast is just too useful on Fey Lantern not to bring with. It's also really powerful against, Fairy Longlegs, because he also takes 4 times damage from it. Anyways... in terms of whether or not you want to uptie this to 4, if you're using this ID, you're uptying it to 4. The coin power boosts, the power boosts on skills 2 and 3 are too good to pass up on, even if it is sinking focused. In long fights, sinking is really easy to get up to a high level. Rhyme Shank by itself activates all of these conditions. Skill 3 is net positive sinking count by 3, like this is, provided you hit heads on the first coin, this is 3 sinking count positive. Which is something, again, is pretty rare. I love that for her. Yeah, no, this ID seems really good. The other plus is that since her passive goes off of shield, you can pitch a skill 3, take no damage, and in theory have 50% increased blunt damage next turn, which is just wild. You'd probably want to get hit by pierce attacks. No, you'd want to get hit by slash attacks because you don't want to get killed that fast. But you can gain the blunt damage up without even breaking your own shield. It always feels weird to say good things about a tank identity in this game, but I'm glad that I get to. I honestly feel like if this ID had fewer coins and better coin power, it might be broken. The thing holding it back, oddly enough, is because she has more coins than any other ID in the entire game. Meaning her clashing is not very consistent even at max sanity. More chances to roll a tails. But at Insight 3, Illuminate Thy Vacuity is it on par with Mind Strike? It's better. Okay, it doesn't inflict any sinking though, so it's not quite as prominent, and also obviously Mind Strike is super important for Ishmael anyways. Checkbook Company were my railroad IDs, but since this is only probably going to be up here for like a week, I'm okay with it. Yeah, that's all I've got. Let's see what the new lines are quick. No knowledge is earned without blank or whatever, blah blah. And then food? No, pain! Okay. Like, no knowledge is earned without some old guy or whatever, blah blah. Oh, that's funny to me, I don't know why. Oh, I love it. I like this idea. It's very good compared to Rhodia's IDs, and it fulfills an important niche, and that's important. It's also discard, which is a new mechanic, and there aren't many discard things for us to play with, and I just like having more of it. So I hope to see more of Dieci Association in the future. Yeah, that's it. If you wanna add me to try this out before you buy, I actually really recommend this ID. If you don't have Rosespanner, this one's a really good substitute for it. It's just a little weird. Like, using a tank ID as a tank ID is just a weird feeling, right? But she seems to be capable of it, like Vi Greg, which is really cool. So we have 3 viable tanks, technically. So, with that said, yeah, thank you for watching. If you want to add me, I'll accept them, and then once my thing gets too full, I'll clear it again, and then we'll start over. Also, if you want Railway Guide, I uploaded that yesterday, and I hope people are enjoying this, because obviously I recorded this the day before that goes up. But have a good rest of your day. I hope to see you again later. Bye-bye.